Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, definitely. Well, it's great to be able to talk to you, and something that I'm very happy to see some brand new music from Yakuza coming out later this month. I
Yeah.
I know it's been quite a bit of time since the last album, and once I found out that there was going to be a new album, I got very excited about that, uh, and I got to say that the album absolutely lives up. Like I
Oh,
really love the
thanks.
direction that you're going in right now. It feels like it's hitting so many territories while still staying true to what the sound has always been with the band, and it feels like a great album.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That's some kind words. Thanks.
Oh, absolutely. So with that in mind, I mean, what was it like to start writing for this album?
Actually, a lot of fun. We started working on this album in 2018 when Jerome Marshall, a longtime friend, amazing Chicago musician, joined us on the bass guitar. Yeah, it's been a what is it? Almost 6 years. 5.5 years since we started, and it's finally going to see the light of day. A couple of weeks. So yeah, excited. So
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. So thinking about that, I mean, obviously with having material since 2018, has much of the material changed in that time since you started writing then?
not really. No, I mean it always starts with the riffs and the rhythms, and then we kind of go from there. I'm sure some lengths of certain things were altered, and you know, the vocal lines and even the lyrics and some of the saxophone stuff I probably have changed over the course of the last 5 years, or I should say we recorded in 2021, so let's say 4 years, 4.5 years. Yeah, I mean it changes, and evolves, but overall, no, I don't recall anything, nothing major, what I mean. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna say right from the get-go. The riffs and the rhythms were there, and then it kind of like you know uh went from there. I was gonna say flourished from there or whatever. So
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm glad to see that too. You know, it's just like I can imagine like a little changes like you mentioned might have happened, but yeah, I mean just like being able to have those songs and refine them and knowing that it was recorded back in 2021. I mean, it's great to see that that didn't get lost in time or anything, that it is still coming out and
yeah,
it seems like it's
yeah,
been a great reception so far. Like the single release so far, I've seen a lot of great praise for the song so far.
yeah. Praise is nice. We appreciate that. And yeah, it seems like it's been positively received so far, and that's nice.
Oh, for sure. So, also thinking about that, I mean, again, you know, just like you mentioned before, you know, it's just like anytime that you get a new musician into a lineup, you know, that can change things. I mean, how would you say the band has changed since the new lineup?
Uh, a, a lot more low end, something that has been present but not present enough. And on this record, you could definitely hear it, the bottom end. Jerome's been around since this band started. Actually, I met him in 2001. I think he was 15 or 16 years old. He was at a Yakuza show. We were opening for Macabre at Metro in Chicago, and we played and we got done. And he ran out to me, and this young 15-year-old metal kid who happens to be black as well. He was having this like this his world was kind of exploded because he grew up with a lot of jazz stuff from like his father and stuff, and also a huge metalhead. And so he like runs with me and was like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" And he was full of energy and really excited. And he was thrilled about the horn in the metal. He was one of few people, especially back then, that were thrilled. And yeah, so he's been around. We've known him. He's been in bands, and we've played shows together. We've worked together. Anyway, he knows the history of the band better than anybody, And it was pretty funny because when we parted ways with Ivan Cruz, our bass player, our previous bass player, you know, we weren't pushing hard to find somebody, but we knew there was somebody out there who was going to be the right fit. And a couple of people kind of came and went, and was kind of like, that was all right. And it was just so happened, we're Jerome and I are both working Dark Lord Day Festival out at Three Floyds in 20. It had to be 18, and so maybe it was 17. I can't remember. No, it was 2018, early 2018. And he walked right at me and goes, "So I heard I'm your new bass player." And that was exactly the way to get into Yakuza, with that confidence. And you know what? He showed up, he knew a bunch of songs, and he ripped through them, and it was like fit like a glove. And really happy to have him. He is definitely he is an equal fourth to this quartet we have. So
And that's so great to hear that too. I mean, especially someone who wants to be in the band that much, that has an appreciation for the music and can actually play as well too. I mean,
yeah,
the more that I listen to this album, and you definitely pointed it out, it's like the low end is very prominent on the album, arguably more than any other previous album. And the definition and the style that he plays, it really makes everything stand out.
yeah, for sure. We couldn't ask for anything better. And I mean, and of course, when we're in the studio, he was, we call him, one take Johnny, because literally he just like ripped through all 10 songs in about an hour. Very, very little, retakes or, punch ins or anything like that. So yeah, he did his homework. I know this for a fact because I went into our practice space like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning one night after a gig I had with another band, and he was in there playing, practicing stuff. So I mean, his commitment level is top notch. So it's
Oh,
up
that
there. Yeah.
Oh, that's just so cool. So thinking about that a little bit further, like you mentioned that the recording process was back in 2021. I mean, what was that like? I mean, especially with the way the world was a couple years ago. Like, what was it like recording this album in the midst of that?
We were already out of any kind of lockdown situation. Um, and to be honest with you, we never locked down during that time, just the four of us. We agreed to let our significant others and our families know, like, we were still getting together and rehearsing, and partly because we were so close, and also for our own sanity's sake, that we still need to do stuff. And Jim was the one that Jim Staffel, our drummer, pointed out to me at one point. He was like, "Yeah, we weren't even like breaking any sort of COVID protocol rules with like the social distancing. We social distance in a space that's pretty large without even trying, literally, because just sonically we all kind of take to the corners. So we were already, we were never like, whatever. Anyway, we had to keep it going, and we had to wait for a studio to actually be able to, host us, and that happened. So I think it was July of 2021, and so things were starting to open up again, and yeah, we were able to do it. So there was a little window. I mean, it was just literally Sanford Parker, the engineer, and the four of us, and that's it, and we got it done. Got it done real quick. So
Yeah, and that really shows the proficiency and the wants and the drive of the band as well too. I mean, especially how you mentioned like parts of the song were done in one take when
yeah,
recording the album. I mean, it's great to see that you can get everything dialed down that fast, especially when it comes to the recording process.
yeah, for sure. And we had demoed probably more for this record than any other one. So I think everybody went in, 85, 90% ready to go, with a little bit of room for something that might happen, spontaneously or whatever. We want to at least have that window there for that. But otherwise, everything was, pretty well rehearsed, and we were able to be really efficient in the studio and just, get things done. We'd already kind of worked out all the bugs before. In the past, I've done, multiple like stabs at different vocal lines and things in different ways. And this time I was like, no, I'm going to do all that. I'll do all that in the practice space, with my own headphones on. And then so we can go in the studio and just, lay it down and be done.
Yeah, and that was one thing I really wanted to point out as well too. Like when it comes to what you contribute to the album, I mean, that's another thing that sounds very proficient as well too. I mean, just like the vocals just fit so perfectly on this album, or when you're throwing the sax on the album, it's just like it feels like it hits in all the right moments. And I imagine that comes along with like knowing what you're looking for in the band and demoing and having the right people with it. But it's just so great to hear that in the final product. Just like how proficient everything is, especially after all this time.
Oh, thanks. I mean, yep. I mean, partially being proficient in the studio is we just want to be ready, but also economically, we were footing the bill for this, or footing some of the bill for it. And, we don't waste anybody's money or time, so, uh, this time around, like I said, there was no room for, not a lot of room for anything other than just like, eye on the prize kind of thing, you know.
Oh, for sure. So thinking about that as well too, like, did you already have this record in mind before you got onto the new label, or was that beforehand, or how did that work out?
Um, we didn't know what we were gonna do as far as a label went. We it was the 11th hour that Smart actually took over the doing the record and putting it out throughout the entire world. They were just gonna do everything but North America, and we were just thinking about putting it out ourselves. And it kind of came down to there was a couple of things that didn't work out the way we would like to have had them work out. So I went back to Smart and I was like, "Do you want to, you know, put this record out throughout the whole world?" And they were like, "Yes." And I'm sorry to go back to that. I just, I kind of like. I mean, I not kind of. I really like what they do, and I appreciate like a lot of things about that label on multiple levels. And so I hit him up and immediately told me the label owner set up a call and we talked via Zoom and he was like, "Yeah, we'd love to work with you guys." He's like, "I didn't even know you guys were still a band." I'm like, "Oh yeah, we are." So yeah, it worked out great. It worked out for everybody. So
Yeah, I was gonna say it seemed like such a natural fit for both parties to be working together, especially with the clientele that's been a part of Smart Records and seeing Yakuza a part of that now. It just feels so natural.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm crossing my fingers that there's some kind of Hanoi Rocks like reunion tour and we get to be the direct support. That'd be really fun. Not just because they do a lot. They do a lot. They do the reissues and stuff, and some of the all the bands like side things. And so I thought that was real sweet. I was like, oh man, even if it's just a Michael Monroe tour, we're like, oh, he and I can like share saxes or something.
Oh, that would be even if it's just a one-off, that would be an
Yeah,
incredible
right.
show to see.
No shit. Maybe Smart can do like a festival in Finland and we'll all go over there and play together. That'd be real sweet. So
Oh,
yeah,
that
yeah,
is a really cool idea.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
going back to what you were mentioning before earlier, I mean, going back into 2021 and, just like the idea of like going into the practice space and rehearsing and coming up with ideas for songs, just for your own sanity. I mean, were you able to do that with your other endeavors as well too, or were those on the sideline, or how did that work out?
Um, Actually, my solo stuff, I actually worked on that quite a bit because it was just me and I have like a little Logic setup, so I was able to record some things. So I actually got quite a few pieces worked out through the solo thing. And then I have another band, a newer band called Masonic Wave that's out of Chicago. It's going to have a record come out sometime next year. Um, Once we felt comfortable about getting in a practice space together again, we did. And so I kind of was just kind of going back and forth between Masonic Wave and Yakuza and occasionally working some solo stuff. Everything else, no, not really. I finally did get into a rehearsal space with Dave Whitty last November, and we just started, dipping our toes back into the brain tentacle stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. But other than that, creatively, yeah, haven't really gotten back together with any of the other guys.
Well, in the midst of that, I'm glad to see that you were able to get some new stuff idea, whether it was solo material or a new band, which I didn't even know that there's something new to look forward to next year. That I'm excited to hear about that.
Cool. Yeah. Um, It's kind of like a throwback to like AMREP, like 90s rock. Yeah, it's really fun. Bunch of cats I've known around Chicago for a long time, and we just actually I heard them rehearsing in the same space that I used, and I was like, man, who's this band? These riffs are awesome. And then I happened to know everybody in the band. They were like, hey, we're actually looking for a singer, and I was like, I can't join another band. I'm like, oh man, but these riffs are good. And then I can't say no to anything, so I joined that band. That was back in 2017, and now we're finally getting around to getting a record out. So
Oh, that's so cool. I can't wait to see what comes with that coming up like you mentioned next year. That's gonna be so cool. And then you also mentioned Brain Tentacles as well too. I'm so excited to see that new material might be on the horizon with that as well too. I
yeah.
really enjoy what you do with Dave with that. That's so cool.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, he's one of my best friends, and we really enjoy each other's company on a variety of levels. But definitely, I mean, the minute we got back in this space, it was literally like it's like riding a bike. We literally within 15 minutes we were like going back and forth with melody ideas, needed some rhythmic ideas, and it was cool. So yeah, he's a real busy fella. He does a lot of stuff, but we're gonna make it work. So
Oh, so cool. So getting back into Yakuza, I mean, obviously, again, like everything was recorded in 2021, and now it's going to be coming out this month. I mean, how has that wait been for you? I mean, knowing that you've been sitting on these songs for so long.
um, I'm happy to see it finally, rearing its ugly head. It's been okay, just I don't try to dwell on those kinds of things. I mean, it would drive me crazy. So yeah, so I'm happy it's coming out.
Yeah, I was just saying that because it doesn't sound like it's been something that's been sitted on. I mean, it sounds like you were just in the studio a couple months ago and you put everything together. I mean, it definitely has that great fresh feel that every Yakuza album has had to date. So I mean, I'm just kind of surprised, like knowing that it is like coming up on a couple years old now, and it still sounds like it just was recorded.
Yeah. Thanks. I mean, yeah, I think just in this day and age with trying to get things out, almost all bands want to put their things on vinyl or put their music on vinyl, and those pressing plants are real backed up these days. So that was a huge factor. Was just basically just slotting it into a spot when we know we can get it out, and that was Smart had to wait for a while, and you know just those logistics basically made it impossible for us to. Well, we could have put it out digitally earlier, but we kind of just wanted to. We're old school, you put it all out at once kind of a thing. So I mean, obviously the singles and stuff like that, but we wanted to drop the digital when the LPs were pressed and ready to go. So yeah.
Oh, for sure. And when I mean, just from the album cover alone, I mean, I feel like it really fits the album, and it's gonna be so cool to see that like in vinyl form and just being able to get that full experience that way.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I can't wait too. I think we're getting them like early next week, so actually we'll have one in hand. That'll be nice.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
So thinking about that a little bit more, like obviously with the singles to be able to promote the album, like how hard was it to decide what to release as a single from the album?
Not too hard. We just kind of we're a democratic band, so we just put it to a vote. And those are we had two singles, and we those are the two that got chosen, and everybody was okay with it. So yeah, that's cool. I mean, I don't personally have a favorite over. I mean, well, there's a couple I probably enjoy a little more than others, but overall, like any of the songs could have been released, that would have been totally fine. At least for me, I could pretty much speak for the band. I think they feel the same way. So
Yeah, and I was gonna just say similar as well too. It felt like any of the tracks on here would be a great representation of the album without giving everything away, which is something that I
yeah,
do appreciate about the band because there's so many layers to the band that you can release so many different things without giving the whole album away.
yeah, yeah, that was kind of actually that felt that feels good with us. You know what I mean? Like that we don't want to give things away, obviously. I mean, and it's kind of hard for us because we don't look at things as singles per se. We look at the record as a whole. it's a journey. It's always been that way for us. Is like, and it's just you should listen to it from back to front. Put it on your turntable. Light up a joint, get a beer or whatever, and put those headphones on and just take a ride with us.
Oh,
So, but yeah, but it's nice to give people a little bit of a tease so they can check it out. And I don't feel that it like those both of those songs work on their own merit. I mean, so uh, like you said, without giving too much away. So
oh, for sure. And also, again, with like the whole album experience, I mean, this is definitely a great example of that because I know for myself, the more that I listen to it, every repeat listen, I'm picking up on something different every time. I'm discovering something a little bit new about it. And those are always the albums that are worth going back to every time that you're able to listen to it and you're able to pick up something new on it.
yeah, well, thanks. I'm glad you're giving it multiple spins. That's appreciated, and I'm glad. And it's nice to hear that you're picking up different things each time. That's great. I love albums like that as well too. I mean, there's albums I've been listening to for 40 years that still resonate. I mean, there's a couple Sabbath records that I mean, you might get sick of it after a while, and you put it to the side, but you can still go back to it. You might hear something different. I don't know. So yeah, that's cool.
Oh, for sure. So thinking about that as well too, like, is there any plans after the release of the album, from the Yakuza side?
We're doing a couple of shows in Chicago. We're playing this place called Thalia Hall with Yob and Cave in June. And then there's a festival out at a brewery that we just did a collab beer with called Wake, Wake, in July. And then we're gonna kind of see where it goes. But yeah, we'd like to do some shows and get out there again and just see what's shaking in the world these days.
Yeah, and it definitely sounds like you got some incredible shows lined up already. I mean, just the bills on those two shows alone sound incredible.
Yeah, yeah, should be good. Indians on the Wake Brewing show. They're good friends of ours, so that's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, what about outside of Yakuza? I mean, of course, you mentioned a couple things that are going to be in the works down the road, but is there anything that's announced so far that's also coming out outside of Yakuza?
Besides that band Masonic Wave, nothing announced. No, I'm going to continue working on some more solo stuff. Sanford Parker, who is the engineer for the Yakuza record, and he's basically my partner in crime and one of my BFFs, all that kind of stuff. He and I have talked about kind of reforming the Circle of Animals project we did back for Relapse back in 2010, like pre-Corrections House days, with a little different approach. I don't want to say exactly what that's going to be just yet, but it will definitely be along the lines of some of the things he's been doing with the soundtrack work he's been kind of involved in for the past couple of years. I've helped him out with some of that stuff as well too. Just played some sax on some of that stuff, and so that's. I guess I'm announcing it right now to you. So other than that, yeah, I don't know. Right now, it's just kind of just focusing on the Yakuza.
Oh, very cool. And I thank you for announcing that. I mean, that's got me very excited. I remember checking in the original project out back then, and I really enjoyed what you did. And I mean, obviously, with the prolific and the diversity that you have, it's always great hearing you do different types of music, working with different types of musicians. So, whatever comes with that down the road, that's definitely piqued my interest. I'm very curious on that.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I think getting in the room with other musicians that you might not get in a room with sometimes. I think you can gain something from that and kind of internalize it and maybe utilize it in other projects. So I'm all about it. So
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and between doing that, starting other new projects, the solo material, which I'm very excited to see what's going to be coming of that when that happens, and of course, Yakuza with the brand new album, Sutra, and being able to play some live shows and festivals and all these things to be able to get the word out about it. Because as great as these songs sound on record, I'm very curious to see how these are going to translate to that live setting because it feels like so many of these songs are going to sound incredible in that live setting.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. We debuted a couple last year at Psycho Las Vegas. We ended up playing two sets, and they seemed to they it seemed like people received them, fairly well. And we actually just played with I Hate God like about a week and a half ago. We opened for them, and we played a bunch of new stuff, and yeah, it seemed to go over okay. So we're excited to see what the future holds.
Oh, for sure. And between all of these bands that you get to play with Yakuza, I mean, that's another thing I love about the band is that you're able to adapt to all these different kinds of situations, and you're able to play with all these different bands, and it makes sense whether it is Yob, whether it's Wake, whether it's I Hate God. It they're all varied, but it all makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's so cool to see that, and I'm excited to see what's going to be coming with all of that. And it's just been awesome to be able to talk to you about all of this. I mean, hearing brand new information, never released up till now stuff, being able to hear more about Yakuza and so many things that you got coming down the line. I mean, it's been great to be able to talk to you about all of it.
Great to be able to talk to you about it all. Thank you very much for reaching out and having me. Thanks.
Oh, absolutely. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I hadn't brought up yet?
Um, I kind of been ending all these interviews with people say like, "What would you say to the Yakuza fans out there in the world?" And I say, "Read a book, eat some vegetables, and find something out there to love." And thank you very much.
Perfect. Great way to end it. Well, again, thank you very much for taking the time to do this. I'm so excited to hear about all these things that you got going on. Knowing with the focus on Yakuza right now, all the potential shows and everything that's going to be going on with that, and of course the new album, which I really do love and appreciate. And it's just been awesome to be able to talk to you about all of it. I thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, and have yourself a wonderful day.
You as well. Bye bye.